Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make carrot muffins, also known as Morning Glory Muffins, and this is what they look like. This muffin is wonderfully moist and flavorful. It's full of course, grated carrot, we have grated apple, we have some chopped nuts, we have some dried coconut, and we're going to also flavor it with some ground cinnamon. They're really good. So the first thing that you will need to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius. And then you will need a 12-cup muffin pan. Now, I've lined mine with the paper liners. If you don't want to do that, you can just lightly butter your muffin cups or even spray them with one of those non-stick cooking sprays. And then, it's a really easy batter to make. I mean, you could use either a stand mixer or use a hand mixer, but I just find these just two bowls, one for the dry, one for the wet. Mix them together and we're done. So we'll start with the dry. I have 1 1/3 cups, which is 175 grams of all-purpose flour, plain flour. And to that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of baking powder, half a teaspoon, 2 grams of baking soda, a quarter of a teaspoon, 1 gram of salt. You could use a kosher salt, which I'm using, or even a table salt for this. And I'm adding 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. You could also add, if you want to, like more flavor, you could add like a half a teaspoon of some ground ginger. You could even add a little bit of cloves or nutmeg. I'll leave that up to you, but for carrot muffins, I just like the cinnamon. And I'm just gonna work that in. You wanna make sure that especially that baking soda and the baking powder is really mixed into your flour. To that, I am going to add 3/4 of a cup, 150 grams of granulated white sugar. I know mine isn't white. It's because it's just off-white because I'm using a organic cane sugar. But either one is fine. And then for our add-ins, a half a cup of dried coconut. Now you can I'm using the unsweetened dried coconut. You could use the sweetened if you want, and you can use shredded or flaked. Now I know some people really do not like dried coconut. So what you could do, you can just simply leave it out, or like I'm adding here a quarter of a cup, 25 grams of chopped nuts, which you could do if you leave out the coconut. You could maybe up your chopped nuts to a half a cup, 50 grams. And for the nuts, you could use pecans, walnuts, almonds, hazelnuts. And if you want to toast them, you can. That will really bring out their flavor. So what you would do is just put them on a baking sheet. You'd have to do this at the beginning before you start making your batter. And put them on your baking sheet for about 8 minutes till you start to smell them, and then let them cool and coarsely chop them like I have here. I'm using, I don't know what I said, I'm using pecans. I live in Georgia. We grow pecans, so that's kind of, I feel I should use local. So that's why, if you're wondering, well, why does she always use pecans? That's why. But the other ones are good too. So that's that. Pretty simple. So for our wet ingredients, I have 2 large eggs. Have your eggs at room temperature. 2 large eggs out of the shell is 100 grams. And just whisk that. And then I'm going to we're adding a flavorless oil. So I'm using half a cup, which is about 115 grams. And the good part about oil is it really makes your muffins nice and moist. And 2, if you want to put them in the refrigerator, if you use butter, which, you could, I know people are going to ask, yes, you could use a half a cup, 113 grams of melted butter. But I like the oil because I can put these in the refrigerator, and butter, if you put it in the refrigerator in a baked good, it kind of hardens. Obviously, butter hardens when it's cold. So then your muffin will be more firm. But I'm going to let I know people are going to ask, can I use butter? Yes, you can. And I'm going to add a half a teaspoon, 2 grams of pure vanilla extract. That's just for flavoring. So you can leave it out, especially nowadays. Vanilla is pretty expensive. So now, of course, we need grated carrot because carrot muffins. So we're going to add 1 1/3 cups of grated raw carrot. I mean, carrots come in all different sizes, so I'm going to say 2 to 3. Peel your carrot, obviously, first. And then you could use your box grater. I use this one. Or if you have a food processor and you have the plate, the grating plate, that makes it really, just put it in there really fast. So either one. So 1 1/3 cups grated raw. And we're also adding some, this, 1 apple grated. So I didn't want to do this ahead of time because then the apple turns all brown and like that. I'm going to peel. I know people will say they don't leave the peel on. You can if you want. So, you know, a small to a medium size apple kind of peel. I mean, there's a little peel on there. It's not gonna, like I said, some people like to leave it on. Any apple, really, what you have in the house. I think I'm using Gala here because that's what I like to eat. And then I'm just going to use this, sorry, it's a little noisy. That's good enough. Something for me to nibble on after while it's baking. So, and the apple flavor plus texture, or flavor and moistness. So there we go. So just stir all that in. These are just so good. Kind of like a carrot cake in muffin form. But we won't put the frosting on because then it becomes a cupcake. And we're supposed to be, muffin's supposed to be more healthy, so we won't put frosting. Although I'm not against that. Okay. And just stir it in. Mix everything together. Make sure all your flour is moistened. It may look a little, you may think, oh, you need more liquid. No, you don't. These are really moist. Okay, you don't want any flour pockets. Okay, looks pretty good. And then we're just going to evenly fill. Try to get the same amount of batter in each muffin cup. You can use like a cookie scoop or, you know, just 2 spoons, whatever you have in the house. So cut yeah, that looks good. Okay, and our last one here. Looks good. Just gonna even that out. So now, baking. I'm gonna say 20 to 25 minutes. Everyone's oven is a little different, so it could take, you know, somewhere in there. Might take even a little more, a little less. So So it will rise, turn a beautiful golden brown, and if you take a toothpick, insert it into the center of a muffin, it will come out clean. So I'm going to say 20-25 minutes. And I do rotate my baking pan front to back about halfway through baking just to give a real even bake. So our carrot muffins are done. So put your pan on a wire rack. Doesn't that look gorgeous? Beautiful golden brown. Toothpick inserted into the center, came out clean. You can also tell by gently press the top. There won't be any wet parts. So I'm going to let these cool 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll use my spatula, use a knife to remove them to finish cooling on a wire rack. And then when we come back, we will try one. So let's try one. Still a little warm. Always good that way. Now you can just have them plain, or you can cut it in half. Little butter, of course, is always good, or cream cheese is very nice. But I'm just going, because they are very moist, I usually don't even bother putting butter or cream cheese. Look at that. I love the flecks of the grated carrot. Oh, very flavorful, soft, very moist. Like I said, you really don't need any butter or cream cheese. The carrot, grated carrot, I mean, if you've ever eaten, which you probably have, carrots, they're quite sweet. So it adds a nice flavor to the muffin, along with the grated apple, and then you have the coconut. I like the ground cinnamon. I think that just kind of helps pull everything together. And ground cinnamon not only adds flavor, but it also gives this beautiful color to our muffins as well. So a really good muffin. Of course, muffins are, at their best the day they're made, but I find that you can store them 3-4 days, especially if you put them in the refrigerator. They always last a little longer than if you have them out at room temperature, or you can freeze them as well, so that's another alternative. But you must try these, and until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com.